Mr. Rosenberg, the other day when you and I stayed in the office after hours, we were having a discussion about some of the experiences that your lovely wife has achieved. And we were interrupted with an urgent phone call. I'm not sure who the client was, but on my side of the situation, it sounded very important. And from what I could gather, it sounded like she was just in an accident. Would you share that story again? Because from my point of view, it sounded like she didn't know what to do in the event of an accident, and some accident just happened. And by the way, I was so amazed that it was after hours, the call came in, and she was able to actually still be able to talk to you because we were here, and but she actually got through and talked to an attorney, and I have to commend you on that. That was awesome.
Well, thank you, Wes. Yes, Alice called, and I've known Alice for a number of years. I did an injury case for her a few years ago, and fortunately she healed up pretty good, and she calls me once in a while just to say hi, and I ask her how she's doing. So she's remained a person in my mind through these years. And so when she called the other night, and she was quite upset, kind of seemed at loose ends, I knew immediately who she was. And apparently she'd just been in a motor vehicle accident in Missouri, in Kansas City, I believe, and she just had no idea what to do. I think her adrenaline was pumping over time. She was upset, she was anxious, and with all due respect to her, she was somewhat confused as to what to do. It sounded as if it was a pretty heavy-duty impact. She did manage to drive away in her car, and while she was driving away, she called me because she was so concerned, so upset. She didn't know what to do. And I said, Alice, number one, are you bleeding? Do you need medical care immediately? Because if you do, get off the phone with me and drive to the hospital if you can drive. But if you don't need immediate care, if you don't need care this minute, go back to the accident scene and see if there are any witnesses, or see if there's anybody there who knows about any people who witnessed the accident. Because a day later, a month later, those witnesses will have disappeared. This is the last opportunity you have to figure out who they are, get their contact information, their names, their phone numbers, because I understand what you're telling me about how the accident happened, but without someone to confirm it, it makes your case more difficult. And if there's a possibility that somebody saw it, you want to go back there and spend a few minutes and talk to whoever might be remaining there. If the police are still there, if there's an ambulance there, if there's some bystanders, see if you can figure out who the witnesses were and get as much info as you can about them. And I said, then the next thing you do is, if you need it, you get medical care as soon as you possibly can. Go to the hospital, go to your own doctor. And it was fairly late in the day, so I imagine your own doctor left his office for the day. Go to the emergency room if you feel the need to. And then follow up, make sure you report the accident the next day to your automobile insurance company. If you've got information about the other driver and their insurance company, make sure you keep that in a safe place. And then when you're feeling a little better and the situation calms down, you and I will talk, we'll get together, and we'll come up with a plan on how to handle your case. But for now, first thing, either go to the emergency room if you have to, or go back to the scene if you can delay a little while. Go back to the scene, see if you can find any witnesses or people who know about witnesses. It's really going to benefit you in the future. And she was appreciative. And I've spoken to her since, and we're representing her in this case. And early on, it looks like we're going to be able to get our ducks in a row, and we're going to be able to bring some benefit to Alice.
Excellent. I had heard you tell her at least 3 times to, if she could, go back and find the witnesses. Is that like the most important thing that you can possibly do?
No, not really. The most important thing is to address any immediate medical concerns you have. Obviously, if you've got a very serious accident, and the ambulance comes, don't be afraid. The money will take care of itself later on. Take that ambulance ride. Go to the emergency room. Make sure you don't have any broken bones, that you don't have any internal injuries, that your life isn't threatened. Other than that, if you can wait a day or two for medical care, then what you want to do is try to confirm. Make sure you know who the other driver is. Make sure you've got their tag number. Do your best to get their insurance information. And by the way, that's why it's always important to call the police. No matter what anybody else says, you get on the phone, call the police, tell them there's been an accident, ask them to come. Because a police report from a trained, experienced eye of a policeman is very important. You know you're not at fault, but when the policeman goes down on paper and explains why you're not at fault and how it is the other driver's at fault, that's a great benefit to your case. So you want to do that too. And remain calm, don't get into any confrontation with the other driver, although at the moment your blood may be boiling and your adrenaline pumping, but try to keep your distance from that person, but try to round up the information you can, because some information is available then, and then it kind of goes away. It dries up and floats away. So some information you need to gather then if you possibly can. It's important to call the police. It's important to get medical care. And if possible, you can aid in the discovery of witnesses and get their contact information. That's going to be very helpful to an injury accident victim's case as it proceeds through time.
Makes sense. If anybody was to get involved in an accident and they weren't sure who to call, would they be able to call you?
They can call me anytime. Call me during office hours. You probably see my phone number on the screen. Ask for me, David Rosenberg. It doesn't matter if I become your attorney or not, you become my client or not. You're in a tough spot then and there. I'm happy to give you some advice, steer you in the right direction so you don't hurt yourself and you don't hurt your case. We're experienced in this. We've been doing it for a lot of years. We handle many thousands of cases through the years. Call us. We'll give you some quick advice that'll be meaningful to you, helpful, so you don't mess up some things that could easily be messed up at the beginning of a case. So give me a call. It's not hard to get through to me. Call my number, and all you have to do is say, I've just been in an accident. I need to speak to an attorney. You'll speak to me or somebody else in my office almost immediately. We're not gonna take a statement through a paralegal or an assistant or a secretary. You're gonna talk to a lawyer and you're gonna get some valuable advice, and you're gonna get it quickly.
Excellent, sir. Thank you so very, very much.
Thank you, Wes. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.